Hello, friends. Buckle up because this recap is the kind that grabs your throat and doesn't let go. Ryan looks like the sweetest, quietest girl in the room, the type people overlook without a second thought. But behind that soft face is a mind-keeping score and a heart stuffed with years of humiliation, loneliness, and rage. When her father dies in a moment she believes could have been prevented, something inside her snaps. Then Julia, the bully who ruined her childhood, walks back into her life like nothing happened, and Ryan's own sister Saren makes it worse by pushing to sell their father's house through Julia. At work, Ryan is treated like furniture, ignored and disrespected until one final insult lights the fuse. And from there, every small decision starts turning into a disaster. This story is not about love, it's about obsession, revenge, and what happens when the invisible person finally demands to be seen. So let's start, friends. The story opens on a young woman named Ryan, quiet and soft-spoken, with a gentle face that makes strangers assume she's harmless. She avoids conflict, keeps her head down, and moves through life like she's trying not to take up space. In the office, in the grocery aisle, on the bus, she's the person people step around, not the person they step toward. Everyone reads her as sweet, timid, maybe a little awkward, the type who would rather apologize than argue. But inside her, there's a private storm that no one sees. Beneath that soft, almost childlike innocence is a secret wish that shocks even her. When people hurt her, she wants them gone. Not go away, not leave me alone, but erased. Not leave me alone, but erased. She pictures a world where the loud, cruel, careless people simply disappear, and her chest finally unclenches. She doesn't talk about it because she knows how it sounds. So she swallows it, smiles politely, and keeps it locked in the back of her mind. Ryan has a notebook she never lets anyone touch. In it is her kill list, a running catalog of names, people who've made her feel small, dismissed, or humiliated. She writes down the supermarket cashier who ruins her mornings with a smirk. Fuck. The woman who rolls her eyes, like Ryan is annoying for existing. She adds co-workers who talk over her, who treat her like a coat rack with a pulse. She even writes down her own sister, Saren, who leaves her messages on read and acts like Ryan is background noise. And hovering above all of them are two ghosts she can't forget, her mother, who walked out when Ryan was still a child, and Julia, the classmate who bullied her through school like it was a hobby. To most people, Ryan's list looks like pure fantasy, a harmless vent. But the truth is darker. Every name is a spark, a tiny permission slip she gives herself in secret. She tells herself it's only thoughts, only words on paper. Yet, every time she writes another name, she feels a small, dangerous calm, like she's taking control of the pain that has controlled her for so long. Not long after, we see Ryan at the hospital with her father while he undergoes treatment. He's the one person who made her feel safe, Brawny, Habaraju, the one voice that consistently called her kiddo like she mattered. Ryan sits close, holding his hand, listening to machines beep in steady pattern. She tries to stay brave, but you can see her fear in the way she watches every nurse pass by, as if they're the gatekeepers of her entire world. Then his condition suddenly worsens. Ryan rushes into the hallway and asks a nurse for help. The nurse is there, but she's distracted, arguing loudly with someone, so loudly that Ryan's voice can't break through. Ryan asks again, trembling, begging her to come now, but the nurse barely turns her head. The seconds drag into something hard to bear. Ryan runs back to the room, and it's already too late. Her father is gone. The shock hits like a sudden blackout, numb at first, then painfully clear. Ryan stares at him, waiting for any sign that he'll move, but nothing changes. She tries to speak, yet her throat tightens and no sound comes out. In the parking lot, she collapses in her car, crying so hard her chest aches, and then the grief twists into anger. She doesn't only feel sad, she feels cheated. In her mind, the world becomes a place where people are lost because others won't stop long enough to listen. Mommed at the funeral, Saren appears and sits beside her without offering warmth. No hug, no I'm sorry, just a distant presence. Ryan forces herself to greet guests with careful manners, thanking people for coming, answering questions in a flat voice. She keeps smiling until her face won't cooperate anymore. Manned across the crowd, Julia arrives with her friends, bright, confident, laughing, like she fits everywhere. She looks exactly like the kind of person who always gets another chance, the kind who never has to explain herself. Ryan's pulse jumps as if she's back in a school hallway, singled out and exposed. Before Julia can notice her, Ryan slips away, blending behind a group of mourners, refusing to let Julia's eyes settle little on her. After the service, Saren talks like she's finishing paperwork. She says they have to sell their father's house. Freezes. She still lives there, still hears her father in every hallway, still feels him in the worn armchair and the half-fixed cabinet. Saren delivers the next blow without blinking. Julia will be the realtor handling the sale. Ryan's stomach knot feels cruel, like Saren is handing the last piece of their father to the person who once made Ryan doubt her own worth. Ryan argues, but Saren cuts the conversation short, refusing to debate, refusing to explain. She leaves Ryan standing alone, holding grief in one hand and panic in the other. Ryan watches her sister walk away and realizes Saren has decided Ryan's feelings are an inconvenience. That realization stings almost as much as the funeral itself. That night on public transit, Ryan can't stop herself. She opens Julia's Instagram and scrolls through photos, glossy smiles, outfits, parties, vacations, soft lighting that makes everything look like an ad. Julia looks successful, adored, untouchable. Ryan's chest tightens because the person who crushed her confidence now gets to shine while Ryan feels like she's fading out of her own life. But 10 days later, Ryan drags herself back to work. She's a receptionist at a busy newspaper, but no one asks where she's been. No one notices she disappeared to bury her father. The office keeps moving like she isn't there, and the neglect hardens into bitterness. She watches coworkers laugh at lunch, gossip about weekend plans, and she thinks, my whole world cracked, and you didn't even look up. Then her boss Norman walks in and tosses his coat at her like she's hired help. It's a small insult, but it lands like a punch. Ryan finally tries to claim something for herself. She says she wants to apply for a reporter position. Norman barely scans her resume before dismissing her. He tells her she's not tough enough, not confident enough, not right for reporting. He pushes the paperwork back and tells her to throw it away, as if her ambition is nothing worth keeping. Ryan walks back to her desk with her hands trembling. The anger spills over. She starts shredding papers with a box cutter, carving through them as if the blade can cut humiliation out of her skin. Right then, a young man named AJ arrives for a meeting. Ryan watches through the glass as Norman laughs with him, treating him with warmth and respect Ryan has never received. Jealousy curls into hatred. Norman soon announces that AJ is officially their new reporter. Ryan's face stays calm, but her thoughts turn sharp. She follows AJ outside, imagining him gone so she can take his place. Her hand slips to the box cutter, but instead of striking him, she cuts herself. The blade falls and clatters loudly on the pavement. AJ turns, catches Ryan hovering behind him, and she freezes. She lies fast, pretending she only followed him to deliver new hire form. AJ awkwardly asks if he stole her job because she looks upset. Ryan forces a fake smile, denies it, and waits for him to leave so she can pick up the blade without looking suspicious. When he finally walks away, Ryan pockets the cutter and exhales like she survived something. Later, walking her dog, another insult drops out of nowhere. A car passes and someone throws a dirty baby diaper at her like she's trash. Her rage spikes again, hot and immediate. Then she sees a massive billboard with Julia's face, glamorous and polished, advertising real estate. The sight hits her like a punch. Without realizing, she grabs her hair and yanks hard, ripping strands out in a spiral of panic and hatred. An old habit returning like a reflex. Then the world takes something else from her. Ryan turns and finds her dog dead in the road, struck by a speeding car that didn't stop. The grief is immediate and brutal. She kneels, shaking, whispering the dog's name, but the silence answers back. She stares at Julia's smiling billboard with wet eyes and a trembling jaw, rage and pain mixing into something dangerous. Hamblia, she buries her dog in the garden and leaves Saren a voicemail, voice cracking, saying she's completely alone now. She begs her sister not to sell the house, especially not through Julia. She pleads for Julia to stay away because Ryan won't survive being crushed by her again. She doesn't say it directly, but the message carries an unspoken threat. If Saren pushes her, something will break. Determined and desperate, Ryan heads to the nightclub where Julia is partying with her friends. The music is loud, the lights are harsh, and Ryan looks out of place, like a shadow walking into a spotlight. She confronts Julia, demanding she back off and stop inserting herself into Ryan's life. She insists she won't allow the sale of the house. Julia responds with bored indifference. She says the sale was Saren's request, not hers. She makes it clear she doesn't care about Ryan at all. Clang. If Ryan's life is a mess, Julia says that's Ryan's fault. To Julia, Ryan is invisible, a nobody. Julia Julia shoves Ryan aside like she's not even real. That shove drags Ryan straight into a memory. The day at school when Julia ripped off her wig, exposing to everyone what Ryan tried so hard to hide. Julia's laughter then, the way the hallway echoed, the way Ryan's face burned, those feelings return in one brutal wave. Ben Ryan stumbles away from the club and ends up sitting alone by a lake, trying to breathe through the pressure in her head. She wants the cold air to reset her brain. She wants the water to swallow her anger. But it doesn't. Benjamin wanders up, casual and careless, and starts peeing right beside her as if she isn't there. Disgusted, Ryan calls him out. He mocks her and says he didn't even notice her presence. That single sentence flips a switch. He steps toward her aggressively like he wants to scare her into silence. Ryan's hand finds her blade. In a violent flash, she lunges and drives it into him again and again, stabbing with everything she swallowed for years. Humiliation, humiliation, loneliness, grief, and that sick feeling of being ignored. When she stops, he's dead. Breathing during Goshen the vanished assister variants of the ulcus of static sofer. Ryan stands over him, breathing hard, shocked by how quickly the line vanished between thought and action. She drags his body into the water and pushes it under, watching bubbles rise and disappear. She wants him to vanish the way she's always wanted pain to vanish. She goes home trembling and stares into the mirror until her face splits into a primal scream, like something ancient is breaking free inside her chest. The next morning she wakes and finds dried blood on her neck. Panic floods her. It's as if her mind refuses to hold the memory, like it's been wiped clean to protect her from herself. Shaking, she throws the bloodied clothes into the washer and sits in front of it as it spins. She watches the drum turn like she's trying to hypnotize the guilt away. The doorbell rings. Her pulse spikes. She opens the door to Craig, one of her father's former co-workers from the workshop. He offers condolences in a stiff, uncomfortable way and hands her an envelope with paperwork about money transfer. He says he's interested in buying the workshop from her father's estate. Ryan barely reacts, stunned and blank, takes the envelope and closes the door, already drowning in bigger secrets. Later on public transit, she passes the lake again and nearly stops breathing. Police are pulling a body from the water. The dead man is identified as Ryan. Her stomach drops. She forces herself to stare out the window like a normal commuter, but her lungs feel too small. Every sound seems amplified: the bus engine, the chatter, her own heartbeat. At the office, Norman gathers the staff and demands a major exclusive. The newspaper needs a huge story, something that will get attention. Jeff, one of the reporters, walks in with exactly that: the discovery of a dead body at the lake. Norman loves it immediately. Ryan's mind races, and she makes a decision. She's going to become impossible to ignore. Leah, she confidently claims the man was murdered and specifies details: stabbed with a sharp weapon, then covers herself by saying she overheard people discussing it on the bus. Norman eats it up, but instead of rewarding Ryan, he sends AJ to the crime scene, which annoys her. Once again, she's overlooked like she's a piece of office equipment. Later, Jeff and AJ return from the scene and update everyone. They reveal the killer stabbed the victim 14 times across the stomach, legs, and arms. Ryan freezes with fear, terrified that something tying her to the murder might have been found. When they say police have no real clues, her body loosens with relief. While peeking at Jeff's notebook, Ryan notices odd scribbles and messy shorthand she can't read. AJ suddenly appears beside her, making her jump. Ryan tries to plant doubt, suggesting Jeff isn't sharing everything. AJ calmly says the murderer will be caught soon, and the words sent another chill down her spine. Ryan argues back that half the crimes from last year are still unsolved, trying to turn his confidence into uncertainty. Jeff calls Ryan and says he needs Norman because he found new information. Ryan lies, saying Norman is busy, but claims Norman asked her to take the update. Then she walks straight into Norman's office and lies again, saying she already found the victim's full name: Ryan Lloyd, who lived with his mother. Norman raises an eyebrow, surprised. How did you find that? Ryan improvises, claiming Jeff couldn't get inside because his tires burst and someone needs to get to the home before another outlet steals the scoop. Ryan argues she should go because a grieving mother might talk more easily to another woman. Norman hesitates, then agrees, but sends AJ with her for support. Ryan hates it. She wants control, not a babysitter. At the victim's home, Ryan's mother answers the door, tense and exhausted. She hates the press and wants privacy, but AJ speaks gently, offers sympathy, and convinces her to let them in. The mother talks through tears about her son, about how he was complicated, about how she's furious at the world. Then she says with raw rage that if she finds the monster who did this, she'll skin them alive. Ryan's heart pounds so loud she thinks they can hear it. The mother mentions Ryan recently had a blow-up with a coworker named Dave. Ryan excuses herself to the bathroom but sneaks into the bedroom instead. She finds paperwork about Ryan being fired and steals it, tucking it away like she's collecting ammunition. She rushes back out, acting calm until the front door closes behind her and she can finally breathe. In the car, Ryan tells AJ they have to see Dave immediately. She shows him the stolen documents, saying the victim was fired for misconduct, and she casually implies that maybe he had it coming. Ajay stares at her, disturbed by the lack of empathy. Ryan pivots fast, pretending she's just hungry for a strong story to impress Norman, and outshines Jeff. They meet Dave, who is stunned by the death. He explains the victim was unstable, harassed him constantly, and even spread a lie that Dave was a child predator. Once the company confirmed the accusations were false, they fired Ryan for misconduct. Dave admits he and the victim argued, but insists he didn't harm him. Ryan listens and quietly files away a new lesson. People are easier to condemn when you can label them bad. Then Ryan's phone buzzes with Serene's message. Julia has found a buyer for the house, and they're heading there right now. Ryan's eyes widen in panic. She begs AJ to drive her home. When she arrives, she sprints to the bathroom and scrubs the bathtub where she washed the blood-stained clothes, terrified a trace might remain. She retrieves the knife she hid in a pot just seconds before Julia walks in with the potential buyer. They tour the house. Ryan stands there with a tight smile while strangers judge her childhood rooms and her father's furniture like it's inventory. Every compliment about good bones feels like an insult. When they leave, Ryan's hands are shaking. Back at the paper, Ryan updates Norman with her discoveries. Jeff is furious, accusing her of stealing his case. Norman decides they should publish the piece together, sharing credit. Jeff hates it, but Ryan feels triumphant. Her plan is working. She's forcing herself into the story. Norman even invites her to join the team for drinks to celebrate. At the bar, Ryan finally feels like she belongs. She laughs in the right places. She sings on stage, surprising herself with confidence. For a brief moment, she feels almost normal, until police officers walk in to question people. Ryan freezes, terror flooding her eyes. She bolts to the restroom. Inside, she sees graffiti, the victim's name written with an insult. Instead of fear, she feels relief. The victim had enemies besides her. Then Officer Marina steps into the bathroom, and Ryan slips out before the cop can read her face. Outside, Ryan spots a waitress arguing with a man named Mike. Something about his voice sparks memory. Suddenly, Ryan recognizes him. He's the man who was yelling at the nurse the night her father died, the distraction that stole precious seconds. Rage resurfaces. Ryan follows him outside and lures him with a fake request for help. When he turns, she stabs him repeatedly. This time, she feels pleasure and satisfaction, like she's delivering justice. The next morning, Ryan begins stalking Julia, listing every reason Julia deserves to die. Julia has friends. Julia has a successful job. Julia lives comfortably in a nice place. Meanwhile, Ryan is miserable, ignored at work, friendless, and her home is being pulled from her hands. Julia even has a boyfriend. Ryan decides that if Julia can't feel what Ryan felt, then Julia doesn't deserve to breathe. Ryan empties her freezer and climbs inside, testing if it's big enough to hide a body. It's a twisted rehearsal. Then Craig calls, apologizing for not texting after their date. Ryan's face brightens. She truly likes Craig, and for a second, she imagines a life where she isn't alone. When Craig asks her to go out that evening, she agrees instantly. At the supermarket, Ryan buys cleaning supplies. The cashier ignores her, chats on her phone, laughs with a friend, and calls Ryan a weirdo right to her face. Humiliated and furious, Ryan grabs the girl's phone and drops it straight into a cup of juice, then walks out, as if she's finally done being polite. Back home, Ryan calls Julia and invites her to see the house freshly cleaned and organized, trying to lure her there at night. Julia says she's busy and suggests meeting tomorrow. Ryan feels irritation but adapts. She texts Craig that she's free tonight if he still wants to go out. He replies fast, they'll meet at 7. On the next day at the office, Ryan brings coffee and pastries for everyone, trying to act like she's part of the team. But when she sees the article printed, she realizes Jeff's name is the only one credited. She confronts him. He laughs and says he wrote the real story. She was useless. He leaves his coffee behind, and Ryan pours a strong laxative into it without blinking. Then the victim's mother storms into the newsroom, furious about the article, but especially the part exposing her son's lies about Dave. She yells that the story will destroy his reputation. Ryan coldly replies that the victim wasn't a good person and deserved what happened. The room goes silent, shocked by her cruelty. Minutes later, Jeff cramps and runs to the bathroom, trapped trapped for hours. Norman sends him home and assigns Ryan his duties, rewarding her with exactly what she wants: attention and responsibility. Ryan gets ready for her date, putting on makeup and changing into nicer clothes. AJ notices the transformation and compliments her. Ryan lies and claims she's just going to her father's workshop. That night, she meets Craig. He's late, but the date turns sweet and they end up at his place. Ryan spends the night there, feeling chosen. In the morning, Officer Marina calls and asks Ryan to come in for questioning about the Lake murder. Panic hit. At the station, Marina and the lead investigator, Roy, say it's not an interrogation, only routine. Ryan insists that day was a blur, her father died, her dog died, and she didn't witness anything. Back at the office, news breaks that Mike's body was found, murdered in the exact same way as the Lake victim. Fear creeps through Ryan again. After work, she goes to Craig's workshop and sees Julia there. Then Julia announces she wants to buy the house herself. Ryan's world shatters. She storms out, steals Julia's phone, screams in her car, then slashes Julia's tire and waits. When Craig leaves, Ryan approaches Julia with a fake concerned smile and offers a ride. Julia wants an Uber, but Ryan scares her by mentioning the killer. Julia agrees. Ryan drives back to the house, lying about a stain in the basement that needs inspection. Julia follows, uneasy, and Ryan confesses she is the murderer the police are hunting. She says bullies deserve to die and accuses Julia of ruining her life. They struggle violently. Ryan hits Julia hard enough to think she killed her, but Julia is alive. Julia ends up tied in the basement. She calls Ryan insane. Ryan screams that Julia made her. Julia shows no remorse and calls Ryan a serial killer with excuses. Ryan breaks down, overwhelmed, and leaves her there. Ryan goes to Craig's workshop and steals the flash drive with security footage, so no one can prove she sabotaged the tire or drove Julia away. On the bus, she leaves Saren a voicemail demanding control. A creepy man crowds her seat. Ryan calmly flips the power dynamic, making him move. She smiles, proud she can intimidate instead of being intimidated. At work, Ryan demands a promotion from Norman in exchange for a tip. Norman reluctantly agrees, making her a trainee. Ryan claims she has information about a missing girl connected to the killer. Norman assigns her the lead. AJ is happy for her, genuinely supportive. Ryan basks in it. Ryan messages Lucille, pretending to worry because Julia isn't answering. Lucille panics, confirming Julia has been missing. Ryan plays the concerned friend and meets Lucille, Annie, and Paige, promising help. Meanwhile, Marina reviews CCTV and sees Ryan argue with Julia at the club. Marina learns Julia never came to work. Then Ryan visits Marcus, Julia's boyfriend, pretending to write about the disappearance. Marcus is terrified. Ryan steals Julia's shirt while he looks for a photo. Back at the office, Ryan's article is published and she feels seen. Then Saren calls. Bill is at the house to buy it. Ryan runs home, snatches the key away, and screams that the house isn't being sold. Ryan prepares to go out with AJ wearing Julia's stolen shirt, like she's trying to become her. Julia screams from the basement, but Ryan tells her no one is coming. At the bar, Craig shows up and pushes AJ away. AJ leaves hurt. On the way home, Ryan steals Marcus's phone and reads messages that reveal chaos. Ryan confronts Julia, reading the messages out loud. Julia admits Marcus is abusive. Marina grows more suspicious. AJ visits Ryan's house and hears a sound. He leaves, upset. Julia attacks Ryan with scissors. They fight. Ryan drags Julia into a tub to revive her. Julia apologizes for bullying, admitting jealousy. Craig messages that police found Julia's car at his shop. Marina notices the missing flash drive. That night, Julia watches Ryan get dressed, smoothing her own bruised wrists as she studies Ryan's face. Ryan is moving with purpose now. Hair done, outfit chosen, lipstick precise, like a woman walking into a new version of herself. Julia quietly offers to help with Ryan's makeup, almost like they're friends getting ready for a normal night out. It's surreal, the bully and the victim in the same bathroom mirror, one free and one trapped, pretending the world makes sense. Ryan accepts, partly because she likes being fussed over, and partly because she wants to prove she's in control. Julia leans in with eyeliner, and, for a split second, her hand hovers too long near Ryan's eye. The thought is obvious, one jab, one hard push, and she could run. But Julia hesitates. She's terrified of what happens if she fails. Ryan watches Julia in the mirror and smiles without warmth, like she knows exactly what Julia considered. Ryan leaves the house to meet Craig, and she locks the basement door with extra care. As she drives, her mind keeps bouncing between two cravings, the comfort Craig gives her, and the satisfaction of knowing Julia can't escape. At Craig's place, he set up a cozy dinner, candles, simple music, the kind of effort that would normally make Ryan melt. Yeah, she almost does. Craig asks how she's holding up after her father's death, and Ryan gives him a practiced answer. She wants tenderness, but she also wants protection, and right now Craig feels like both. Then she steers the conversation to Julia. Ryan tells Craig the police might question him because Julia's car was seen near the workshop. She begs him not to mention that she was with Julia on the night Julia disappeared. Ryan spins a story about lying to Norman. She claims she told her boss she filmed an event but never went, and she'll be fired if the truth comes out. Craig believes her. He nods, promising he'll keep it vague. Ryan touches his hand and says thank you with a look that makes him feel needed. It works. The next morning, Ryan returns to the newspaper acting tired but composed. Norman pulls her aside and says they need a detailed feature about Julia, her likes, dislikes, recent conflicts, relationship background, anything that reads human and will keep readers invested. He assigns AJ to work with Ryan on the profile, partly because AJ is thorough and partly because Norman doesn't fully trust Ryan to handle a sensitive piece alone. Ryan pretends to be fine with it, but inside she panics. The more AJ is around her, the more he might notice the cracks. Still, she forces a bright tone and tells AJ they should start with Julia's closest friend. AJ agrees, and they head out. At the search meetup, Julia's friends, Lucille, Annie, and Paige, have basically set up a command center. There are printed flyers, phone chargers, water bottles, and a chaotic energy of fear and urgency. Ryan arrives in concerned reporter mode, nodding sympathetically, taking notes, asking gentle questions. She says the right things. We'll get her back. We'll keep the story respectful. You're doing everything you can. She becomes the calm voice in the room, and people start to lean toward her. But then Ryan's stomach drops. Jeff is there too, talking with Marcus. They're both watching her, and Ryan can feel their eyes like heat on her skin. She catches a few words, time mime, club, argument, and her throat goes dry. AJ notices her stiffness and asks quietly if she's okay. Ryan lies, saying she's just tired. That's when Officer Marina shows up. She speaks to the group with a controlled seriousness, asking about Julia's last known movements, her habits, her relationships, and anything that seemed off. When Marina asks about Ryan, Lucille hesitates, then shrugs. We're not friends, she says. We knew her years ago. She's from school. Annie adds, almost casually, Julia used to mess with her. Like, a lot? Paige nod. Yeah. She got bullied. Marina's eyes sharpen. AJ turns to Ryan, confused. You knew Julia? He asks softly, like he's trying to give Ryan space to explain. Ryan's body tightens. She forces a laugh and says it wasn't like that they were just in the same school. Marina watches her face with the patience of someone who knows fear has a signature. Before Ryan can recover, Marcus storms over, red-eyed and furious. He accuses Ryan of stealing Julia's shirt from his house. He says he noticed it missing, and he knows she was there. He threatens to call Norman and expose her as a liar who's exploiting the disappearance for attention. AJ steps in, trying to de-escalate, telling Marcus they can handle it calmly. Ryan snaps at AJ, embarrassed and overwhelmed. She tells him to stop acting like a savior, to stop hovering, to stop being obsessed with her. AJ backs up, hurt, and Ryan immediately hates herself for it. But the moment is already poisoned. Marcus walks away, still raging. Ryan follows him into the parking lot, heart hammering, and her hand finds her knife. In her head, she hears the list, the names, the permission she gave herself. Marcus is another obstacle, another person making her invisible or exposing her. She moves faster, ready to end him. Uka. Then Jeff steps out from behind a car and sees the knife. His face changes instantly, from smug reporter to terrified witness. He turns and runs. Ryan pivots and chases him, desperate, because Jeff cannot be allowed to connect the dots. She runs after him across the street, but fate hits first. A bus barrels through and slams into Jeff, killing him instantly. The sound is sickening. Ryan freezes, a mix of shock and relief washing through her. She didn't have to do it, but the problem still vanished. People scream and rush toward the body. Ryan steps back into the crowd, blending in like smoke. That night, Ryan goes to the lake with the knife in her pocket, intending to toss it and erase one more thread. She stands near the water, listening to the quiet, and tries to convince herself she's smart enough to survive this. Then her phone buzzes with a message from Marcus, angry angry, threatening, promising he'll destroy her. Ryan stops. She doesn't throw the knife. Instead, she slides it deeper into her bag, deciding she may need it again. Back at the house, Julia is still trapped in the basement, exhausted and hungry, her voice hoarse from shouting. Ryan goes down and sits across from her like she's holding an interview. She tells Julia she's been thinking, and maybe there's a deal. Julia stares at her, suspicious but desperate for any opening. Ryan says she can forgive Julia for the past, only if Julia helps her take down Marcus. Ryan claims Marcus has hurt Julia and controlled her, and that Julia admitted it. Julia hesitates, then nods, because she understands something important, agreeing might be the only way out. Ryan lays out a plan in cold, practical details. She will move Julia to another location and stage a rescue. She'll lure Marcus there, make sure he touches the knife, and call the police so he's caught red-handed. Ryan warns Julia not to trick her, not to get cute, not to try any escape attempt. Julia promises she won't. Her voice sounds convincing, but her eyes are calculating. Ryan drives Julia, still bound and terrified, to a property Marcus owns. It's bigger, emptier, and equipped with a security alarm that can be triggered. Ryan disables and re-enables pieces of it, setting the stage like a director. She ties Julia up inside, placing the knife nearby where it looks like Marcus brought it. Then she triggers the alarm and backs away, waiting when Marcus arrives. He's panicked at first, then furious. Instead of seeing Julia as a victim, he immediately accuses her of cheating and setting him up. He says she must be involved with whoever kidnapped her. His jealousy spirals into violence. He grabs her, shouts at her, and starts choking her. Ryan rushes in, playing hero. She tells him to get his hands off Julia and says she already called the police. Marcus breaks down in a flood of manipulation, swinging from rage to pleading. He cries, says he can't live without Julia, and threatens to throw himself down the stairs if anyone tries to take him away. He says he'd rather die than go to prison. He says he'll kill himself and it'll be Julia's fault. For a moment, Julia looks like she might believe him, like she might soften. Ryan sees that and feels her control slipping. The idea that Julia could still choose someone else, choose Marcus, makes Ryan's blood boil. In a sharp, decisive motion, Ryan shoves Marcus. He stumbles backward, loses his footing, and crashes down the stairs. The fall is brutal. The sound of bone and impact echoes through the empty house. Julia screams. Ryan stares, breathing hard, then forces herself to become calm again. Sirens approach. Police flood the scene, and Ryan immediately becomes the storyteller, shaping the narrative before anyone can question it. Manned officer Marina arrives with the responding officers, and her gaze pins Ryan. Marina doesn't look impressed. She looks like she's reading a file she's already started writing in her head. Ryan smiles politely, acting shaken but cooperative. Julia is led away, still bound, still trembling. Ryan leans close and whispers a warning, stick to the story. At the station, Ryan sits in an interview room and watches Marina like a cat watches a rival. Marina and investigator Roy ask how Ryan knew where to go, why she was involved, why her version keeps changing. Ryan answers with rehearsed sincerity. She claims she found the address by accident while searching Marcus's things and suspected Julia was being held there. She claims Marcus threatened them with the knife and that he'd hurt other people too. She says he was unstable, dangerous, desperate. Marina shows her a photo of the weapon and asks whose it is. Ryan says it belongs to Marcus. Marina's expression barely shifts, but her voice does. She notes the blade is a woodworking knife, the kind used by carpenters. She points out Ryan's father was a carpenter, and that this kind of tool looks like something he would own. Marina suggests Ryan kept it because she was attached to her father's thing. Then Marina leans harder when Ryan learned Julia wanted to buy the house, the last thing tying Ryan to her father. Ryan snapped. Ryan's eyes fill with tears. She denies everything. She claims she's grieving and being scapegoated. She says she's being targeted because she's weird, because she's quiet, because she's an easy suspect. Marina doesn't argue. She just watches. When Marina questions Julia, Julia repeats Ryan's story almost word for word. Marcus threatened them. Marcus held Julia. Marcus had the knife. Marcus threw himself down the stairs to avoid prison. Julia's delivery is too clean, too rehearsed, and Marina notices. Still, without physical evidence connecting Ryan to the earlier murders, the department's leadership hesitates. They see Ryan as small and harmless. They don't want to bet their case on intuition. Ryan is released due to lack of evidence. Outside the station, reporters shout questions. Ryan plays overwhelmed victim, ducking her head and slipping away. At home, she finds Julia waiting waiting at the door, shaken and desperate. Julia says she can't go back to her place, people are watching, and she doesn't feel safe. Ryan invites her in like she's offering shelter, like she's generous, like she's the hero the world now believes she is. Julia nervously asks if they're really safe after lying. Ryan assures her they are, almost soothing. That night, they go out together in public, trying to look like two women rebuilding after trauma. Julia uses Ryan's bank card to withdraw cash because her own accounts are frozen or canceled. Ryan watches Julia handle her money and feels a strange pride, like she owns Julia now. They dance, and Ryan laughs too loudly, joy spilling out in manic bursts. For the first time, she feels powerful and adored. While Ryan and Julia are out, Marina breaks into Ryan's home. She searches carefully, not ransacking but hunting. In a drawer, she finds the flash drive Ryan stole from Craig's workshop. Marina plugs it in and watches the footage, Ryan slashing Julia's tire. Marina's face shifts, relief, triumph, and a grim certainty. She finally has something solid. Marina confronts Ryan soon after, catching her at home. She says she has proof now and that Ryan will kill again if she isn't stopped. Ryan doesn't flinch. Instead, she stands straighter, eyes flat, and asks Marina what she plans to do with it. Marina's confidence wavers for half a second because she realizes Ryan isn't afraid of her. Ryan goes to work with Julia, and the entire office treats Ryan like a hero. People congratulate her, pat her shoulder, tell her she's brave. Norman beams because the story boosted readership. Julia sits in the newsroom and describes Marcus's abuse, and everyone listens like she's giving testimony. Ryan watches, pleased, as if she built this version of reality with her hands, but Julia starts to unravel. After a while, she becomes uncomfortable and says she needs to leave. Ryan's anxiety spikes. Any unpredictable move from Julia is a threat. Julia reassures her, saying she's fine, and says she needs to go home and collect. Instead, Julia goes to Craig's workshop and is met with a cold surprise. Craig presents a contract, pushing Julia to sell him the workshop. He says he wants it and he will take it one way or another. Julia senses blackmail in his tone. She knows Craig may have figured out pieces of the truth, and she knows Ryan has dirt on her too. Afraid Craig will tell police about the disappearance night or mention Ryan, Julia sign. QQuiet. Meanwhile, Ryan is at the store ignoring Saren's call. AJ shows up unexpectedly and Ryan decides to tell him she broke up with Craig. She's drawn to AJ now, not just because he's kind, but because he sees her as talented. AJ smiles, relieved, and it's clear he has feelings he's been holding back. The next morning, Ryan tries calling Julia, annoyed and worried because she got an alert that a large amount of money was withdrawn from her account. She leaves a voicemail asking where the bank card is. Before she can process it, AJ shows her a photo his police friend sent him, suspected serial killer's murder weapon. AJ's stomach drops as he realizes it matches the knife Ryan always carried at the office. Her paper cutter, her tool, the thing she kept too close. AJ goes to Ryan's house, trying to stay calm, but his suspicion is obvious. He searches for the knife. He checks drawers, the kitchen, under cushions, like he's hoping he's wrong. He can't find it, which makes him more convinced. He looks at Ryan and says the word she can't tolerate, monster. Ryan breaks down crying, begging him not to leave, insisting she's changed, insisting she did bad things, but she's better now because of him. AJ backs away, horrified. He tries to leave, telling her she needs help, that he can't be part of this. Ryan panics. In that panic, love and control twist together. She grabs a kitchen knife and stabs AJ again and again, screaming through tears that she is not a monster, that she's the victim, that everyone made her this way. As AJ collapses, the house goes silent except for Ryan's ragged breathing. Blood spreads on the floor, and Ryan's face empties out, as if she's already dissociating. Then the front door opens. Saren steps in, finally answering the calls she ignored. Saren freezes at the sight, and Ryan freezes too, caught between shock and the realization that her secret can't be hidden anymore. The season ends right there, without a continuation. No closure, no justice on screen, just Ryan staring into the aftermath while the world finally notices her. Lang. No one announces an arrest, no headline declares the truth, and the camera refuses to comfort us with certainty. Marina is left holding evidence and instinct, trapped inside a system that kept underestimating Ryan because she looked fragile. Saren's scream is swallowed by the cut to black, and the audience is left with questions that sting. Will Julia survive the lie? Will Craig's contract expose it? Will the workshop footage spread? And will Ryan write names on her list? The silence feels like a warning, suggesting the story could restart at any moment. With another smile and another blade,